Hello everyone, my name is Tom Colohue and this is Spoiler Warning. Our headline today, Mercedes Mone and her AEW offer. Vince McMahon getting more involved in changing the creative plan. A little bit on Mustafa Ali and Baron Corbin moving to NXT. An update on the status of Drew McIntyre, confirmation of a report that I've already made there. Bron Breakker incoming. A little bit on Saraya. And I can see we've already got a discussion going on about that. Spider Boss, to be clear, you've just said something and then said, yes, I know it's not true. Think about what you're saying, mate. The SmackDown position compared to Raw. Something on my incoming birthday stream, beginning of next month. And CM Punk's chances of being the big draw that he is expecting to be. So I want to say a massive hello to everyone who's already jumped into the stream. We have a lot to talk about, but thankfully nowhere near as much as on Monday. I can already see plenty of people here, regulars and people who've already hit like on YouTube as well. Good to see all of you. I'm going to start off, as always, with our top story. And our top story is Mercedes Mone, formerly known as Sasha Banks. The deal on offer for her for Forbidden Door. Now, I can state the invitation is clear. She's been invited, regardless of injury, to the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, where she may be making an on-screen appearance. The idea is that she will be signing a deal, and even though she is unlikely to wrestle at the show because of injury, she will be going forwards, working at least in some aspect with AEW. The original intention was to have her holding the New Japan Strong Women's Championship going into Forbidden Door. I've spoken previously about a number of different possibilities. I personally believed and have stated before that Jade Cargill was a likely contender for that championship. Mercedes being injured put paid to that, and Jade Cargill is now apparently taking a break according to PWInsider. But what I will say, Mercedes is considered to be a strong draw and someone around which the AEW women's division can restart. Now, the AEW women's division is certainly doing a lot better than it has been doing in years past, but it is still not believed to be at a state where it can compete with the top contenders, those, for example, being WWE. So the intention is to bring in Mercedes, and she would be the linchpin around which the entire thing orbits. Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Mone has also been mentioned, and yes, while I'll be talking about it in more detail later, Saraya has also been mentioned as a potential opponent. I want to say a big hi to so many of you: Spider Boss, Michael, Ken, Dark Society, Brad, Daz, Sai, Matthew, Ricky, Noob, Leon, Dylan, Joey and Daniela already here. Great to see so many of you. I will of course be taking as many of your questions as I can as well. Spiderball says, what do you think about Ricky Starks versus Jay White rivalry? It is happening. That's all I've really got for you. Joey says, hey Tom, have you heard anything on the new women's title we're getting tonight? Yes, and I reported it over the past few weeks. Danielle says, good evening Tom. Good evening. Bailey says, Tom, any update from Nick Khan's comments about elevating NXT to a third brand in the upcoming media rights deal? They are attempting to essentially get a good deal which will put NXT on the map, and with a TV deal which will result in more money for NXT. Basically, they're going to create the content either way, but if they can get paid for it, they will, and that's what Nick Khan is angling for. That says, Tom, do you think Seth will go against Braun after Braun called him on NXT? Yes, the intention essentially, and I'll touch on the Bron Breakker information now, the intention with Bron Breakker calling out Seth Rollins is to really show that Seth Rollins is going to be a fighting champion. The World Heavyweight Championship is going to cover all manner of areas, so it may well be that Seth Rollins at least briefly drops down to NXT. That said, there is still plenty of information going out there saying that Bron Breakker will be getting called up soon. His call-ups have been cancelled multiple times, but I did mention last week on Friday, so on this show last week, that I did believe he would be up and about around SummerSlam time. Sean says, Asuka gets a new title tonight? Yes, she does. Spiderboss says, so far, AEW's women's division has got a better booking every week, and I like it. Evening, Jordan, how you doing? And Omega says, Tom Colohue, welcome, Omega. How are you doing? Joey says, Fightful reported Vince made big changes to Raw. Do you know what those changes were? I know some of those changes, and that takes us nicely into our second piece. Vince McMahon has not just been live and in person this week on Raw. He has been popping up every now and then on both Raw and SmackDown, though he hasn't yet appeared on NXT. He's apparently been getting more and more involved over time. And one of the main reasons for that is because while there are some things he basically just leaves to Triple H, there are also plenty of particular wrestlers and characters that Triple H is not wholly trusted with. The Bloodline storyline has been directly tampered with and rewritten by Vince McMahon on multiple occasions, particularly over the last few weeks, and Judgment Day have also had some rewriting as well. Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar, I've already mentioned, has been something that's been written with Vince McMahon's express intent. And from what I can tell, there's a number of different personalities and characters that Vince McMahon is not the biggest fan of. One thing I will mention is that LA Knight does apparently count as one of those. So Vince McMahon is appearing a lot more often. He's making creative changes for particular characters rather than wholesale changes and particular promos. A lot of credit does seem to be going to him for the use of Damian Priest on Raw, for example. Justin says howdy. Howdy, Justin. And the dude says, evening, Tom. Hope you're well. Doing well, thank you. Doing well. Coup43 says, WWE are looking to give Pretty Deadly a very good push per Zero News. Okay. So Zero News is reporting, after Pretty Deadly have been paired with a current champion and are being regularly featured on TV after just debuting, that they're in line for a good push. They're not in line for a good push. They're actively being pushed. It's a bit of a nothing report there because basically they're reporting what you see on TV is accurate. Yeah, I know, I've seen it on TV. KJ says, didn't Fightful... I'm not sure what you're referring to there, KJ, to be completely honest. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I can only report what I have personally been told. Rizal says, are they combining the NXT and women's tag titles? That is also something that's been put out there, not something I'm personally aware of. I have spoken previously about the idea of having two sets of women's tag titles. That is something that WWE have been considering. Jane, there's a SmackDown watch-along every single week, though there won't be next week, so thank you for providing me the opportunity to say there will not be a spoiler warning or a SmackDown watch party next week. I am out of town for a stag do or a bachelor party. I booked a separate hotel from the people going for the big thing because, you know, some of them like to party all night. I'm not that guy. Hello, KJ. Ellis says, hey Tom, looking forward to a dramatic SmackDown tonight when it comes to the Bloodline. I find it unlikely that we're going to see too much of Roman Reigns over the next few weeks. It is, of course, 3 weeks before we get to the point of Money in the Bank. I'm sure he will be appearing in the UK, and that does entail a little more from his overall schedule. It's starting to look like after SummerSlam will be his big break. Joey says, does this mean LA Knight's chance of winning Money in the Bank is lower now with Vince involved? Well, that's an assumption that he had a high chance anyway. Ricky says, what's the plan for Judgment Day? Are they being split up? No. KJ says, what did you say about LA and Vince? Pop back about 5 minutes, mate. It's all there. It's all there. Next up, a bit more as regards NXT. So, Mustafa Ali and Baron Corbin have appeared in NXT over the past few weeks. They are being used to add additional star power to the brand, but this is also the WWE's way, and Triple H in particular, his way of saying, we owe you a favour. Now, this does mean that Baron Corbin and Ali are both owed favours by Triple H, and Triple H is the like to pay those favours back. I do suspect the big moments are coming for Corbin and Mustafa Ali, though when I say big moments, can I just be very, very clear? What I mean is they'll get pushed. A push does not mean a championship run. Just want to be very clear in saying that. Joey says, is Vince the one pushing for Damian Priest to leave the Judgment Day? No. He's pushing Damian Priest, but he's not pushing to leave Judgment Day. Steve says, who will be the first wrestler to whip out the camel clutch in memory of the late great Iron Sheik? There's a number of different people who have asked to be the one to do so. I find it unlikely that it will actually happen tonight on the show. If it does happen, it will likely be someone like Roman. I could see Solo doing it though. It just suits his character a bit better. Stark Society says, doesn't surprise me that Vince McMahon doesn't like LA Knight. Didn't say he didn't like LA Knight, said he was not looking to push him at this point in time. Eric says, Tom, was the plan for Otis's Money in the Bank always for him to lose it to The Miz? No. Vince basically made a decision on I was about to say on the day, and that's kind of true. Basically made a decision because they were in the pandemic era. They saw this is a great time to have cinematic matches, have a bit more comedy. And Otis was someone they were pushing heavily at the time because the storyline with Mandy Rose had been very, very well received. In many ways, the situation with Sonya Deville also put paid to that. KJ says, sorry Tom, I meant to say, speaking of major changes, either Fightful or PWInsider said those changes were Vince changed the order of the show. King Azza says, hey Tom, do you want LA Knight is going to win Money in the Bank? I don't want LA Knight is going to win personally, though is going to win more look like LA Knight. Spider-Boss says, I know WWE want to make Rhea Ripley a special attraction on Raw. They don't want to do that. They want to make her a wrestler and a champion on Raw. I don't know what you mean by special attraction. I don't entirely know what you mean by that. She's not being Brock Lesnar, if that's what you're thinking. Razal says Dana Brooke also appeared on NXT this week. That is a different situation. That's not necessarily a favour being owed. Not necessarily a favour being owed. No, Azar, I don't want LA Knight to win Money in the Bank or beat Seth. Joey says, I bet Vince wants LA Knight to go back to Max Dupree. He does not. Venom says, hi Tom, sorry I'm late. Is Sasha going to be going back to the WWE? Look at the title of the video, mate. Come on. Spider-Boss says, I never got why WWE split up Mandy and Otis in 2020. They were planning to come back to it eventually, but the idea was that Mandy Rose was about to be a SmackDown Women's Champion and potentially have a WrestleMania feud against Sonya Deville. But Sonya Deville would be bald after SummerSlam. That was the plan. Dark Society says Shinsuke Nakamura is my pick to win Money in the Bank. And if you'd like to know my pick for winners and match predictions for Money in the Bank, I do have a video live on this YouTube channel right now with all my predictions there. Joey says, are they pushing Indus share for the Indian event we're getting? Yes, they are. The idea is they are still trying to get as many viewers as possible from India and the subcontinent there. They're pretty popular over there, as in fact is spoiler warning. Hi. Daniela says, on Raw recently there's been video packages for Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano. Hopefully they'll get back in the ring on Raw a lot more with Loomis and Indy soon. Yes. Spider-Boss says, my pick for the women's Money in the Bank match is Io Sky. Eric says, who do you want to win Money in the Bank? I say Io and Cody. Want is a difficult one because at the moment of the people involved, I would still go Shinsuke Nakamura personally and Io Sky, but I do think Cody's going to be in it. Venom wants Becky to win the briefcase. My prediction, to be clear, is Becky, because I believe both of the Money in the Bank winners will fail their cash-in. As I says, hey Tom, do you want to see Brock versus Seth? No. Zane says, what do you think of Stokely Halfway and Jerry Lynn as Ring of Honor directors? I mean, you've got some very, very good talkers and some people with a lot of experience and connections there. So, works for me. Joey says, I hope they don't put the tag title on Indus Sher. Why would they? Venom says, finally they did something with Johnny. Cool. The dude says, Tom, is there any truth to the rumours of Cody versus Brock 3 being a Texas Bull Rope match as being reported by Sportskeeda? Sportskeeda does not report news, so I promise you they have not reported that and you have not seen what you thought you saw. Peter Englefield said, just going to leave a like as I had an accident today, but have a great weekend, Tom and chat. I hope you're alright, mate. I can only assume that someone put you through a table. Reach out by all means if you need to, mate. I'm here for you. Spider-Boss says, I like the Johnny Gargano video package. Nice touch by Johnny saying, do it for yourself. DIY. Dark Society says, who is your favourite Money in the Bank winner? Ooh, Dean Ambrose. That was a good night. That was a great night. We currently have 71 viewers and only the 34 likes. Please do remember to hit that thumbs up as and when you arrive. It does give a boost to the channel and basically guarantees further growth of the channel as well. We are currently at 2,456 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? You'll get plenty more content. We're looking for 4 more tonight, just 4 more to reach 2,460. Joey says, if Cody isn't finishing the story against Roman, then who does Roman drop the titles to? Probably either Jay or Solo, as I previously mentioned. Rizal says, with pay-per-view cards having 7 matches or less, it's going to be interesting how they do, as since they won't be enough to defend all titles and have non-title matches. Yeah, they're going to do exactly what they've been doing the entire time. Triple H likes smaller cards, and usually he'll trade out, for example, one woman's title on one pay-per-view, one woman's title on the other, one secondary championship and one on the other, and just swap and change like that. The Intercontinental Championship isn't defended on all of them. The United States Championship isn't defended on all of them. That's how he balances it. Venom. No idea. Spoken about it previously. I think SummerSlam's the nexus point because that marks 3 years of reign. Spider-Boss says, I have never got why the women's Money in the Bank winners cash in so fast. Only Carmella held the briefcase for a long time. Poor writing, essentially. Sorry to hear that, mate. Joey says, Imperium seems like they're getting a good push right now. Yes, they are. Even if they're not personally winning matches and it's mostly the Gunter is enough. As I says, do you think Cody should add something to his character like a killer instinct? I've been saying for a while now, Cody Rhodes is not a very well fleshed out character in the WWE and we need more. Spider-Boss says, do you see Bianca turning heel? Forever is a very long time. Daniela says, I want Cody versus Ricochet one day in the future. My head says it probably won't happen. It probably will. Cody Rhodes is going to be wrestling a whole lot of people and at some point we'll get the match. I just don't think it'll be a big feud. Seth Rollins has confirmed a report that I've been making for several weeks now and made in a special video on Tuesday as well. Drew McIntyre is not, at this point in time, staying home and refusing to work. He is currently on the injured list, as I have been mentioning for a while and as I clarified even further on Tuesday. Drew McIntyre is currently injured. He's picked up a number of injuries and worked through most of them. In fact, also working injured during the Intercontinental Championship Triple Threat. And this is one of the reasons that Sheamus was drafted in and it stopped being a one-on-one. There are ideas at the moment for Gunter versus Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship as well, so that is also, I feel, worth mentioning. Seth Rollins, in an interview with Mark Andrews, confirmed that Drew McIntyre is on the injured list, so that should put paid to a whole lot of rumours, which meant absolutely nothing, which I've been trying to kill with actual accurate information for a while now. Michael says, I don't find it a coincidence that after your video on Mercedes in April about working in AEW and New Japan, that the likes of Mox and Claudio have been in New Japan. I personally don't find it a coincidence either. The video on Mercedes in April was very, very well received and shared a lot of information. And I just want to say a big thank you to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select for confirming what I reported in April. Also, thank you to you, Michael, for putting it out there and for putting me over. I really do appreciate it. You'll know, obviously, I retweet stuff like that. It's one of those things. I'm more likely to get people joining this channel and this chat based on other people's recommendations than me out there saying, I'm great, I'm the best. I don't want to be that guy. So I'm really grateful for people like yourself, people like Ross, people like Ed, people like so many of you, Bailey, quite recently, who've been putting me over on Twitter and elsewhere and bringing people to the chat. So I want to say thank you to you, Michael, for that. That says, do you know what's happening with Jay on SmackDown? He will be wrestling. Let's wait for the storyline, mate. I'm enjoying the storyline. Joey says, who do you think will be the final participant in the ladder match? I did confirm what I thought in the Money in the Bank predictions on Wednesday. I personally think Cody Rhodes has a good shot of being there. Steve heard a rumour, but forgot where. King Azza says, do you think Roman's heel persona is wearing out its welcome? No. I think it's still got plenty to go. I just think the bloodline is going to be separated. And Roman and Paul Heyman will stay together. Kieran says, is the report that Braun is partly paralysed in one leg a true report? I can't remember who reported it. If you don't remember who reported it, I really can't answer on it. But welcome, Kieran. How you doing, mate? Dark Society says, everything is on the table or possibly under the table. What they're doing under the table, don't answer that. Hogan says, another reason why I like less titles, more spots for non-title feuds and matches. As of now, a 14-match WrestleMania would only have 6 non-title matches, 5 if they split the tag belts again. To be fair, that is plenty of non-title matches when you factor in that it's basically half and half. Joey says, imagine if Uncle Howdy shows up in the Money in the Bank match and takes a briefcase from LA Knight. He won't. Juana Roscoe says, hey Tom, can we still expect Mercedes Mone to show up in AEW? Now the reports have clarified TK did talk to her. I did previously report this one in April. I clarified on that one. And Juan, if you want to pop back to the beginning of the show, I do report further as to the situation with Mercedes Mone and AEW's Tony Khan. So please do check that out. What I will say is that she's not actively cleared to wrestle at the moment. So it's very unlikely that she'll wrestle. Venom says, I hope Volta breaks the record for longest reigning with the IC title. I don't know who you mean, Volta. I'm guessing you mean Gunter. gonna dive in too much on that one, Spider Boss, because you guys have seen a pattern for this. That I will report something and then a little bit later other people will report the same. I appreciate that. That's confirmation of my report. Now, I'm not the happiest person that I am never credited for any of these, but my focus is just on growing what we have here and providing content for you guys, so I'm not particularly concerned. D. Freeman says, what's a well fleshed out character to you? So I'm going to use a few examples. Let me go with Kevin Owens, someone who's very well fleshed out. Do you know that Kevin Owens has a very close friendship with Baron Corbin? It's referenced about once every 2 years, but it's there. We still have the history of Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. Now, I'll go to Bobby Lashley when he first came in, and they were trying to flesh out the character and it wasn't working. Then they moved to a bit more of a static character, but they still had all of that backstory to work with. Now, they've moved him away from that. But when it comes to Cody, we were introduced to him when he returned as a guy who came for the WWE Championship. Then he wrestled Seth Rollins because he wanted the WWE Championship and Seth was in his way. Then he was unfortunately injured, came back because he wanted the WWE Championship. Then he wrestled Roman Reigns because he wanted the WWE Championship and Roman was in his way. And his dad's a wrestler, or was a wrestler, and he's doing it for his dad. Everything I know about Cody Rhodes is his dad was a wrestler and he wants the WWE Championship. That's all that's really been established for Cody, and I feel we could just do a little bit more. I'd like to see a bit more backstage stuff, where it's him and other people, and he has friendships and connections, which is why maybe the connection with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn was beneficial to that. Steve says, remind us of the April story that SRS took this long to figure out. Oh, you mean the Sasha Banks one? I have clarified that at the beginning. Hello, Carl. How are you? Hello, Eve, as well. Welcome. One says, can we get Mercedes Mone versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's title? KJ says, if I have a Twitter, I'll put you over. Maybe I'll put you over on my YouTube. Your YouTube's doing pretty well, mate. I do keep an eye on it. Ed says, do you think Gunter makes it to September to break Honky Tonk Man's record? I'm not sure. Personally, I think he gets to the World Championship sooner than that. So I personally think maybe Drew McIntyre wins at SummerSlam, if that match happens. Will says, you also told us Triple H wanted to do new women's titles about 8 months ago. Another win for you. After 8 months, it doesn't feel so much like a win. I do appreciate that, Will. But he has been wanting to do new women's titles for a while. The current situation is basically forcing his hand. But yeah, new women's championships have been on the docket for a while. James says, what did you think of the Adam Cole and MJF segment from Dynamite? Maybe the main event at All In. Adam Cole is extremely popular in the UK, baby. So I find it very likely that he will be in a big match when it comes around to it. B-School Nick says, any chance they'll use Bo Dallas as someone else other than Howdy? Potentially, but it'll have to be written to be so because he's still written under Bray Wyatt. Michael says, is there any indication on how serious Mercedes' injury is? SRS's reports give me the impression that New Japan doesn't think it's a broken ankle. There's been no clear confirmation one way or the other. Personally, I still find it unlikely she'll be wrestling at Forbidden Door. Very unlikely, in fact. But I do suspect she'll be cleared within the next couple of months and will be wrestling again shortly. I don't think this is anything that will impact her career long term, but I'm not a medical professional. Bailey says, for those who haven't listened to Paul Heyman talking on Rick Rubin's podcast this week, it was fascinating to learn that Heyman likes to weave cinematic themes from older movies into the Bloodline story. Paul Heyman is the main driving force behind the mafia family concept of the Bloodline. Hello, Sean. How are you, mate? As it says, Tom, do you think AEW will CM Punk will turn heel? Forever's a long time, mate. Forever's a long time. 456 says, what up, Tom? And chat. Welcome, 456. How are you doing? Spiderboss says, I'm happy to put you over on social media. You deserve credit for your reports. You also have on several occasions, and I thank you very much for that. Danielle says, Kevin Owens versus Gunter this week on Raw was an outstanding match. There will be more matches like that, the exhibition-style matches. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will be working with a number of people, and Imperium are being groomed as potential challengers for those tag team championships. Yes, Ed. Good times. Ken says, I'm looking forward to watching Impact. And Gomar says, hello, Tom. Hello. Dark Society says, I want to say, Tom, I've been listening to you for a year. Thank you for giving us all the facts and not BS. I try my best. I appreciate that. That's a very good compliment to me. My hope is that I never really engage in too much clickbait or hyperbole, that I don't sit here and say, yeah, wait an hour and I'll give you this tiny bit that you already know, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. There are times when I've sat here and thought, oh, maybe when I get to 100 likes, I'll share a piece of news. No, mate. Here's the news. Just here's the news. Brad says, where has William Regal been? All over the world, mate. Khalid says, hey, Tom. Hello, Khalid. Joey says, are they just going to change the colour of the new title, or will it be a new design? Spoilers. Sparabel says, do you see Dominic Mysterio challenging Gunter? Not at the moment. They are both heels. Dark Society says people want Cody Rhodes to win Money in the Bank and win it with a broken arm in kayfabe, but that would feel Cody is a superhero that can fight through anything. And that very much is Vince McMahon booking 101. Khalid says, Tom, any chance of Judgment Day splitting up? Forever's a very long time. Sean says, apparently the rumoured match for Forbidden Door, if Mercedes was cleared, would have been Mercedes versus Saraya. Let's actually talk about that right now because I have a bit on this. There is a report from Fightful Select confirming what I've been reporting about contact between Mercedes Mone and AEW's Tony Khan. My report on this was in April, and I was talking about the rumoured match at that time being Jade Cargill. Now, there is, according to Fightful Select, a rumour that it will be Mercedes versus Saraya. But to be clear, it's an interesting one because they're reporting a rumour which then becomes a rumour. So I don't really know how to reference that. As regards Saraya and Mercedes Mone, they would, to my knowledge, like to step in the ring with each other again. Saraya obviously feels pretty good about her wrestling at current. She has been cleared and is happy to be back wrestling in AEW. Mercedes Mone looking to wrestle the best of the best, and Saraya fits that bill. So they would like to wrestle each other again, is what I'm hearing. I just want to be very clear on that one. So I do believe that match will happen eventually. As regards Forbidden Door, it doesn't feel very Forbidden Door at the moment, but if there was a New Japan Strong Women's Championship, as there was originally going to be, that may well be what is planned. And with Jade Cargill apparently taking time off, according to PWInsider, I certainly think if Mercedes Mone is at Forbidden Door, they may begin a push to Mercedes versus Saraya instead. Noob says, your thoughts on Samoa Joe's performance on the Twisted Metal preview? Haven't seen it, don't really know the brand. Brad, you need to calm down. You need to calm down in a big way. Pretty sure you've just accused someone of beating his partner. You got any evidence to back that up? Because if you don't, that's a serious problem. You need to calm down or you're going to go. Just want to be real clear on that. Okay? Cool. Eric says, does the Money in the Bank winner get to keep the briefcase after they cash in? Yes, actually. It's quite similar to the World Championships and the different championships people keep. There is apparently briefcases that are made too. Nelson says, I hope the new company merger the board remove Vince, Triple H or Nick should be chairman. They're not going to. Venom says, do you think Ali will win the North American title because he couldn't win in Saudi? No, there is no correlation whatsoever. 23 Fresh says, will there ever be an NXT Africa? Razar says, I think Mercedes' injury might be similar to, and further speculation. Juan Orozco says, I just rewound the video. Thanks for the update. Very credible information. Also, how will SmackDown fare once a Bloodline storyline is finished? I do have something on that. Before we get to that, though, I want to talk a little bit about how this channel's going at the moment. I want to say a big thank you for the reception that I got on the Drew McIntyre news video and the Money in the Bank predictions and preview, where I said what matches I suspect will be happening and the results that I'm expecting as well. We got a lot of views and I'm really, really grateful to everyone who jumped in, hit like, left a comment, etc. Every like, every comment guarantees growth. The strategy at the moment revolves a lot around engagement. Shows like this are essentially engagement farms, but also quite fun to be a part of. And the idea is, as people engage more, this guarantees that you'll be fed a steady stream of Tom Colohue stuff, which will then give any content I make straight up immediate boost, which then will automatically send it out to more people. So huge thanks to all of you who've been watching, liking, commenting, not just here, but also on the Twitch side and on the TikTok side as well, where I've also been growing pretty well at the moment. My average views have gone up from about 230 per TikTok to about 400 now, which is a pretty good place to be as the numbers continue to grow. So I'm very, very happy with how that's going, and I want to say a very big thank you for that. As regards SmackDown, After the Bloodline storyline finishes, there will be another storyline. SmackDown right now is being considered the A show above Monday Night Raw. A large part of that will be Vince McMahon essentially encouraging it, and knowing that Roman Reigns is there, they are seeing the numbers. They are seeing the numbers and seeing the ratings and are absolutely thrilled with what's happening on SmackDown. It is considered the number one show in the WWE roster, above pay-per-views, and in many ways right now above WrestleMania, with the amount of focus that's put on the SmackDown storyline week in and week out. Daniela says, if Cody is in the Money in the Bank match, I just find it hard to consider he would come up short Brock Lesnar. Carl says, the day I have to pay for news is the day I walk away. I completely respect that. A lot of people ask me, for example, did you see the report in Fightful Select? Nope. Sometimes people will share them with me, and I really do appreciate so many of you doing that in Discord, for example, but I don't pay for news. Hogan says, is it possible that thing happens? Yes, Hogan. So possible, so likely, fantasy booking. Ed says, are you allowed to say spoilers like your River song when your show is called Spoiler Warning? Yes, and in fact I've done it a lot. Spider-Boss says, fun time, Sasha Banks versus Carmella rivalry. Steve says, did you enjoy the New Japan Dominion show last Sunday? Yes, I did. There was a real changing of the guard in that show, and I'd also like to point out, said changing of the guard did not win matches, which I liked. Okay. Alyssa is annoyed that Cody Rhodes isn't getting more stuff. Joey says Vince is the worst at booking baby faces. Is he? Because he booked Sami Zayn. The whole Sami Zayn Bloodline storyline. That was Vince McMahon. Sean says, have you heard anything about talks of a unification match of the women's tag team titles? Personally, no. Bruce Phillips says, what up, Tom? What up, Bruce? How you doing, mate? Thane said, I'd love to see Baron Corbin become the next NXT champion. It's not likely at all. Khalid says, Tom, thank you for the Drew and Money in the Bank video. I appreciate you very much, mate. Thank you kindly. There will be plenty more videos coming. I've got a little notepad here of plans for videos to come. They're really helping me grow at the moment, and I'm trying to regain my momentum before my break when I went to Paris, and things did grind to a halt a little bit. Hi, Joe. Spiderboss says, Seth Rollins recently said fans disrespect the World Heavyweight title by calling it a consolation prize. They did disrespect it. It's also accurate. Jonathan says, hey, good day to you, Tom. Do you think it's possible Rikishi could show up to support his family? Eve says, the idea of thinking of any show as the A show is daft to me, and that's an expert in the field, as subconsciously that'll make people think any other show is missable, less important, even from an inside aspect. From what I can tell, one of the many reasons I'm saying this is apparently when it comes to the scripting, there are more people involved, and the fact that Roman Reigns is on the show and it's getting the higher ratings means that they are simply putting more focus into it. Hogan says, do you know of any plans to have Roman appear on the June 12th Raw? I have not heard anything about that. KJ says, I saw your Money in the Bank prediction video. I was thinking about making one as well. If there's a match you predicted that I like, I'll throw some credit your way. I know you regularly do prediction videos, mate. I wouldn't worry too much about credit when it's your personal predictions. 23 Fresh says, did you see the Hogan interview? Sorry, 23 Fresh, I don't know who they are. Razar says, the Money in the Bank participants are only 6 this year. Why did they reduce it, or will they add more? Essentially, they think, much like Triple H likes smaller pay-per-views with less matches, he also thinks it's harder to focus on 8, and much harder to focus on 8 than it is 6. One says, hey Tom, according to Dave Meltzer, CM Punk can't draw more ticket sales for the Canada Collision shows. I definitely don't think he said that he can't draw more. KJ says, women's tag team unification match tweeted by Zero News. Anyway, the championship presentation begins with SmackDown and will continue with Monday Night Raw. I've spoken last week about a change coming for the women's championships, reiterated it on Monday as well. So these new championships are rebrands. It will not be a championship swap as it was previously. So we are going to see brand new championships to bring them in line a little closer with the shows that they are on and get rid of the whole Raw and SmackDown format. This does still mean that Survivor Series may be brand versus brand, but that is less and less likely as we progress. Will says, have you heard of Nick Khan's plans to make NXT a third brand? That's been WWE's plan for the last 5 years or so. I remember speaking to Triple H about it personally in 2019. That recording and that write-up is on Sportskeeda because I was working for them at the time. Hogan says, WWE mentioning Punk this week that Collision debuts may not be a sound strategy. Why would they do that? Why would that be a thing? Kieran says, I remember when one of the Money in the Bank matches had 10 people in it. Sounds like too many people to me. I do want to mention our Discord, and I will be sharing the link once again. It's been a little while, and I do want to mention it. There's a really good vibe in the Discord at the moment, and if you'd like to check that out, you are welcome to do so. Just to be clear, I'm saying that at current to everyone in the chat. Just want to be very clear when I say that. I'm currently saying that to everyone in the chat. You are welcome to join Discord. When you do, please check out the Good Faith Agreement on the new starters page. That's essentially our rules, and as long as you can stick to that, you are welcome. We're having a really great time in Discord at the moment. Lots of different channels, having lots of real diverse spread out conversations. I'm really enjoying it, that essentially I'm part of it rather than essentially the thing around everything orbits. It's just a great vibe and a great community, and I encourage people to pop in and check it out. One more thing to mention before I get through our last few questions. Welcome, Resident Evil AMC. Thank you for the thumbs up. The beginning of next month, July 7th, is Tom Colohue's 35th birthday. Now, if you've been here for a while, you'll be fully aware that on the 7th of July, or at least thereabouts, I like to do a birthday stream, a specialist birthday stream. As it's a Friday, spoiler warning, will be a dedicated birthday stream. I'm planning some different things and some different ideas to basically celebrate the stream, the community, and take part in a couple of different activities, games, and the like. It will be very much a little mini birthday party because I'll be streaming anyway, and I always do it every year. So if you do have ideas and suggestions for activities that you'd like to take place on the birthday stream, please let me know. It will not be spoiler warning, will not be focused too much on wrestling content. Any news that I have will be shared in the watch party later on that night. Joey says, is this WWE version of Forbidden Door having main roster talent invade NXT? There is no WWE version of Forbidden Door. Forbidden Door is AEW branding. Hogan, WWE don't care about CM Punk. That's it. Thomas says, hi Tom, sorry I'm late. Is there going to be a new title design for Asuka tonight? Sure sounds like there is, because they have announced a new championship presentation. True Ed. Spider-Boss says, in your opinion, who is the best SmackDown Women's Champion? I really like the one we've got, Rhea Ripley. Justin says, amazing community, referring to the Discord as well. Thank you, Khalid. KJ says, speaking of Survivor Series, if they did brand versus brand again, pardon me, would you like the idea of Raw versus SmackDown in War Games? I would. I think they've got enough people to make it work. I just don't necessarily think it's going to happen, unfortunately. Razar says, what exactly is Discord? And thankfully plenty of people have laid that out for Razar. At this point, I'm going to wrap up. We will be live for our SmackDown watch party tonight. We will not be having a watch party or spoiler warning next Friday. Next Friday I will be at a bachelor party, so I will not personally be here and available to stream. But we will be streaming SmackDown tonight, so please be there to check that out. We are, of course, as I said, looking for four new subscribers today to bring us to 2,460. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for being here with me. And until then, I've been Tom Colohue, you've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.